So today's recipe is going to be mom stuffed chicken Sunday dinner. And we're starting off with the basics for the stuffing. I know many people kind of cringe when they see the liver or the neck or the gizzards or the heart, but that makes your stuffing delicious. It gives it a good savory flavor. So we're gonna start off boiling it with a stalk of celery, an onion, a carrot, and a little salt and pepper, and we'll just simmer them until tender to make sure we don't overcook them. So now we're going to start to prepare our chicken. So the first thing you want to do is go through and inspect it a little bit, check and see if there's any pin feathers. You want to pull those off. Not that they're going to kill you, but it just makes your presentation a little bit prettier when you put it on the table. So we're going to start off with our seasonings, and today I'm using kosher salt, a little bit of roasted garlic powder, some white pepper, and then a little bit of tarragon and thyme. Mix them all together, and you're going to use that to season the inside of your bird. So you just lightly sprinkle some through. And that's just going to give a little seasoning inside the cavity so that as it starts to roast, that flavor comes through the interior portions of the chicken. And then we're going to sprinkle a little bit over the surface. And my mom's stuffing was always based in Ritz crackers. So what we'll do is we're going to dice up some some celery, some onion, and a hot milk. We'll chop up our giblets, crush up our Ritz crackers, mix it all together with 1 or 2 eggs, depending on how much stuffing mixture you have. And then it'll make a nice moist stuffing that's a little bit sweet. It's not quite as sweet as cornbread, but it's a really, really delicious dressing, and it's something that I grew up with. So it's been hard for me to kind of go to bagged stuffing that people normally use at Thanksgiving time, because mom's was always the best. We'll see you in a bit. So we have sauteed our diced carrots and onions, and those are going to be put into the bowl. And here I have diced my giblets, and we're going to incorporate that into the bowl. And then we will add our eggs and scalded milk, and we'll complete the stuffing. So in our bowl, we have diced celery and onions and sauteed them in a stick of butter. And I have my giblets, which I've diced. And we're going to incorporate that with some scalded milk and a couple of eggs, and then I'll show you the finished stuffing. So into our bowl, I'm adding 2 farm fresh eggs from our local farmer. And we have scalded milk. I've got about 3/4 of a cup in here. I scald it because mom did it that way. I don't know back then if it was because the milk might have impurities to it, or if it was just to get the little bits of brown bits off of the bottom of the frying pan. But add as much milk as you need to create kind of an oatmeal texture. You don't want it too loose so it'll slide out of the bird, but you don't want it too dry so that it sucks up all the moisture from the juices of the chicken. So we mix that together, let the milk absorb into the Ritz crackers. Get all that beautiful celery and onion mixed in there with the giblets, and that's going to create a nice firm dressing that is absolutely delicious. And then we'll begin to stuff the bird. Whoops. So fill the cavity. You don't want to stuff it so tightly packed that it'll take an extra hour to cook. And then whatever dressing you have left in your bowl, I generally will put in a ramekin and cook it on the side. And that sliced is always a great snack during the day. So mom used to truss the bird and tie it up with string. I found a little trick. and I just take a piece of aluminum foil, make a slight bowl out of it, put that right over the bird, and voila, you've got a perfect cavity for it to cook. So I'm going to place this in an oven at 325, and we're going to look for an internal meat temperature of about 160 degrees. So when I place it in my pan, I'm going to put slices of butter on it so it bastes in the beginning as the oven warms, and then as the chicken is cooking, I'll continue to baste it as it bakes so we get a beautiful brown golden skin. We'll see in a bit. Okay, so we have our ramekin with our extra stuffing, and I know many of you guys have your little kids at home. They're not going to school, they're not going to daycare. So this is another great treat when they start clamoring to mommy or daddy that they want a snack. This will be ready probably in 25 minutes or so. So it'd be a great way to just take it out, give them a slice, and let them have a snack, and keep them from making you crazy. So the final step is I'm going to take a little bit of Hungarian sweet paprika, Tunde, I'm thinking of you, and lightly sprinkle the paprika over the surface of the bird. This is going to help to enhance that golden, beautiful color when it comes out of the oven. And then we're going to tent it because I'm not cooking in a regular roasting pan with a lid. So I found the easiest way to make a tent is to put 2 pieces of foil together on the one edge, seam it or roll it about 3 times, and it'll give you a nice seal. And then you take that foil tent, put it right over your bird. You're able to keep it up a little high so it's not resting on the bird while it's roasting in the oven. It will keep that seam in, the steam in, and allow it to roast very slowly and get your temperature cooked evenly through the middle. And then when you're checking, I always use an instant read thermometer. And then you can also just take the leg and wiggle it a little bit away from the body. As soon as you see that that joint starts to give very, very easily, you'll know that your bird is done. And we'll see it when it's done. So here is the dressing that was left over. You can see it's bubbling and delicious. It rose beautifully. And we'll just let that cool a bit and then make it something that somebody could sit down and enjoy a piece of before dinner's ready. So here is the finished dressing. As you can see, we've got beautiful crust. It's nice and crunchy. You can see the bits of celery, and it's sizzling, absolutely delicious. And then all you're going to do is let that cool a bit and slice it up and let one of the kids have a snack. Here we're starting off with 1 stick of butter, and it's at room temperature, and we will slowly start to soften that up before we add our sugar. So to our egg, flour, and butter mixture, I'm going to add 2 medium bananas that I've smashed, and it's about a cup. And as that mixes in, I'm going to gently fold in my dry ingredients, which is 2 cups of flour, a teaspoon of baking soda, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Let's not waste a drop. And we'll incorporate that on medium speed until it's all well blended. And then I will pour it into the pan and we'll bake it in a 350-degree oven. And then we're going to let it cool before we do a beautiful cream cheese frosting. See you in a bit. So into a small bowl, I have creamed 1 container of cream cheese with 1 stick of butter, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and we're going to add 4 cups, well, 3.5 cups to 4 cups of confectioner sugar. So our chicken has come out of the oven. As you can see, it's beautifully golden brown on all sides. I've got a good rendering of juices in the pan for gravy. Of course, I'm going to skim the fat off. I have a great cup that will keep the broth in the bottom and keep the fat on top, so you can save calories and not ingest all of the fats from the chicken. You can see the aluminum foil held the stuffing in place. It expanded as the stuffing grew, but it still kept it all inside the chicken. Here we have our dessert right out of the oven. It's that beautiful banana bar recipe. You can see it's got a glossy, crusty finish, and stuck a toothpick in. We have no residue on the toothpick at all, so we know it's perfectly done all the way through. Those edges are nice crispy brown. I bet you they're going to be delicious with the icing that we made for our bars. When it cools down, I'm going to frost it, and then we'll cut it into squares and make them available for individual servings, which are going to be delicious. Our buttercream frosting is just so rich. I did add a little bit extra vanilla just because I wanted that flavor to pop. And when we toss it on top of that beautiful banana bar, it's going to be extraordinary. Whether it's dessert after dinner or a piece with coffee in the morning for breakfast, I can't wait. So we've iced our banana bars, and I'm going to now garnish the frosting with some fresh crushed walnuts, because I always think that walnuts and bananas go together beautifully. Nuts and bananas, how could you go wrong? The pièce de résistance. What is a better way of serving a dessert than something homemade from your kitchen? And I want to thank you for spending this time with me. Have a great day. So as we get ready for dinner, we have a beautiful roasted chicken, our wings and legs on the side, our stuffing available for separate pieces, a beautiful salad, asparagus, buttered mashed potatoes. How beautiful is that for your Sunday dinner presentation? Your family will love it. A beautiful dessert. Luscious buttercream. Bon appetit.